Hi, my name is Daniel Serrano, and I'm a client service engineer at Forest Systems. And today we're going to be talking about reports for multiple entities, or otherwise known as consolidated reports. We begin this in Forest View to create a family, which is our term for a group of entities that will make up the report. We're going to log into Forest View, and we're going to head over to the Family section. And from here, we can create a family. We just click on the Add New Family button. Give the new family a name. Click the blue check mark. Now, when you create the new family, you might not have access to it. By default, the system will not give you access to a new family or a new entity. So we'll have to go over to the user section, click on Entity Access, find the particular column for that user, or if you want to give it to everybody, just click across. But then we find the particular row for that new family or entity. In this case, it's new family. We're just going to give everybody permission. We're going to preview those changes. We're going to apply those changes. The system's going to confirm. And then we can go back to families. Now, as you can tell, new family is still not on there. We need to refresh the page, so we're just going to click on the logo up here. It's going to take you back to the initial landing page, but if we click on families again, we do see that new family name there. If we click on it, the screen will update. And at the very top, you actually see a drop-down menu and an Add Family/Entity button. This family, or that button, will add entities or families into this new family. So the way we do that is we select a family or entity. In this case, I'm just going to click on Doing Very Good. And I'm going to select Add Family and Entity. That added Doing Very Good to the new family, and we can see it listed down here. I'm going to go ahead and add one more. I'm going to add Cherry Tree LLC. And both of these entities only have 1 year in their database. That year is for 2021. We can minimize the side menu so we can see the whole page. If at any point we decide to edit ownership percentages, we can click on the Edit button, and we can adjust those ownership percentages by month and by year. If there were multiple years in a particular entity, you would see all those years listed in an individual row. If you delete one of these guys, you will end up deleting all the years specific to that particular entity. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and rebuild an entire entity by itself since we already have one. So I'm just going to use this Goods and Partnership entity family that I've already created. Here we see we have Addy Justice, Birch Tree LLC, Cherry Tree LLC, Doing Very Good, and another entity that we're using for reclassification or elimination entries if you desire. It's not a must that you have these, but if you wanted to not double count certain investments between partner and partnership, for example, you may want to consider this. So the key to all this is to make sure that your chart of accounts lines up. The reason for this is that if we run a balance sheet analysis, we first select the family in the entity drop-down menu, and we're going to go ahead and select Goods and Partnerships. That's going to lead us to a new side menu, which is going to have consolidated summary balance sheets, consolidating summary balance sheets, as well as some other reports like investments for security performance analysis. Now, each of these reports will look a little bit different just because of the number of accounts that are going to be listed on that report. The balance sheets will list at the summary level, which means the category. We will not see the individual accounts on this report. We just see the summary of it. And the key to consolidating reports is that you have to line up those categories across. So here under marketable investments, we see stocks for industrials. Now, Addy Justice doesn't have any of those stocks, neither does Birch Tree, but we do see some amounts for Cherry Tree LLC as well as Doing Very Good. The key to this report is actually in Forest Center in the chart of accounts. So I'm going to shuffle over to that particular module and check out the chart of accounts for Cherry Tree and Doing Very Good. So here we see we have the class, the group, and then the category. Underneath the category, we have the individual accounts. Those are not displayed on the report, but the key to that report is to make sure that all the proper accounts are in the proper categories. So if we switch over to Cherry Tree LLC, we see a similar chart of accounts with another checking account. So it will consolidate these accounts under this particular category across those entities that are in that family. One really important thing to keep in mind here is that if you have the same category name under a different group, it will not combine those two. Those will be two separate categories. So an example of this is this category right here for checking accounts. We see the same label for checking accounts up here, but it's under a different group. So here we have current assets and then business assets. These will not consolidate into one subtotal. There will be separate items on the report, and we can see that on the report. So here we have the checking accounts, but we don't have anything for business. Business will be down further below, right here. So you need to be careful that if you want to consolidate certain accounts, that they're in not just the proper category, but also in the right group. Now, if you wanted to look at particular investments, for example, like the securities that you own across all these entities, well, we can come over to the other reports, and some of these actually do have the individual account information on there. For example, the combined security portfolio analysis will have that particular level of detail. Here we see the individual accounts, not just the cash accounts, but the individual investments. And the first column will actually identify which entity those investments belong to. And again, they're grouped by symbol. So you get a subtotal for that particular investment or security across all those entities. So here we see Lunar Mining. We have a subtotal, and it's owned by Dewey, Cherry Tree LLC, and then it's owned again by Dewey. Oh no, it's just Cherry Tree and LLC. And we have one subtotal for all of them. Now, where you would use a report like this is critical. For example, if you have a need to provide a report for an entire generation, for example, you would just need to identify those entities and consolidate all those entities into one family. You can call it the fourth generation family. If there's a patriarch with 3 kids and the patriarch wants to see a report for all the 3 kids, a consolidated report for all 3 of them, you can generate a family and a report for them, and it will have a subtotal for all the different entities, but it will also identify the securities that belong in each entity according to this column right here. Reclassification entries, as I mentioned, is a completely different entity. We can come to Forest Enter and select it, but the maintenance of this will be manual and is up to your discretion. With that does conclude the tutorial for family reporting or consolidated reports. Thank you for joining me.